Nothing Else Matters, Part 1. Eddie Munson, ex-female listener. Trigger warning, eating disorder. You and Eddie have been dating for 2 months now. You met thanks to your little brother Dustin Henderson, who asked you to replace Lucas at a D&D game. You've been part of the Hellfire ever since then, and Eddie and you slowly grew closer, until one day he confessed his feelings towards you, afraid that you would laugh to his face or friend-zone him. But everything worked out perfectly as you were feeling the same way, and the two of you started dating. You've been planning your road trip for a month now. You're really excited but also really nervous. Eddie doesn't know that you struggle a lot with food. You always find an excuse to not eat with him or not to eat at all. But now, you're going to spend an entire week with him, and hiding your eating disorder will be really complicated. Deep down, you know that you could tell Eddie, that he wouldn't judge you, but you still fear that he won't want to be with someone like you, someone broken. Well, that's what you think of yourself at least. You think you're broken. You also know that this will sadden him and even maybe hurt him. You're in your room, packing, when you hear Eddie's van pull over in your driveway. You finish packing quickly before heading downstairs. When you arrive, you can hear Eddie and Dustin having a heated conversation about D&D. You smile at the sight of your brother and your boyfriend getting along so well. It's like a dream for you. When he sees you, Eddie walks toward you and kisses you on the lips. As soon as his lips touch yours, you hear your brother mutter, "Gross." After saying goodbye to your brother and mom, you take Eddie's hand and walk towards the van. He opens the passenger door for you before heading to the driver's seat. He pulls out of your driveway and the holidays can finally start. You're going to a city named Shipshewana, and it is 4 hours away from Hawkins. When you arrive on the highway, Eddie takes your hand. You spend the ride listening to the new mixtape you've made for him. After 2 hours of the van ride, Eddie stops for lunch. He stops next to a forest, and you take out a blanket and lay it on the floor, while Eddie takes out a basket full of food. Only looking at it makes you sick. But you don't know how to tell Eddie, and you know he probably spent hours making this, so instead, you sit on the blanket, hoping that Eddie won't notice that you're not eating. Eddie starts eating before noticing that you didn't take any food. "Don't you like anything I've made?" Eddie says with his mouth full. "It's not that," you say, trying to put your thoughts into words. "You know how I never ate in front of you?" "And?" Eddie asks, clueless of where you are getting at. "And I have eating disorders," you say hesitantly, but also ashamed. You don't even dare to look at Eddie. Eddie takes your hand in his and looks at you. "I don't know what to say, but I want to help you eat properly. We can start with a small thing. What do you think about cherry tomato?" You nod, and Eddie hands you a cherry tomato. You stare at it for agonizing minutes. "You can do it. I know it," Eddie says, trying to encourage you. At his words, you end up eating the cherry tomato, but right after you feel guilty and Eddie can sense it. You know, tomatoes are basically almost only water, and they don't have a lot of calories. I don't know if it helps you to know that, but I wanted to let you know, he said reassuringly while lighting up his cigarette. "Thank you," you say. "Thank you for taking it so well. I had never opened myself this way to anyone." "Did you think I'd run away for something that's out of your control?" Eddie says, amused. You shyly look at the ground before answering. "You deserve better than someone as broken as me." Eddie says your name. "You're not broken. You're going through something tough, yes, but I'm here. I'm always here by your side no matter what. I'll be here every step of the way. We'll go through this together. It doesn't matter how long it takes. I love you and nothing else matters." You smile at Eddie's words before kissing him, a tear rolling down your cheek, and it falls on Eddie's. He pulls away and wipes your tears. "Don't cry, Angel. It's just what you said. It's so beautiful, Eddie. Thank you. Thank you so much." Eddie pulls you in a hug before putting the food back in the basket. You both go back to the van and Eddie drives again. He thinks about the fact that he booked a restaurant for tonight. What should he do? Cancel? Ask you if you're okay with it? Keep the surprise and pray that it won't trigger you? Eddie ends up telling you, "I had made a reservation in a restaurant for us tonight. Do you want me to cancel given..." He looks for the right words, knowing it is a sensitive topic. "Your relationship with food?" You wince at how he put it, which makes Eddie apologize right away. "I'm so sorry. I didn't know how to put it into words." "It's okay. you answer. You then take a deep, shaky breath before saying, "Don't cancel the reservation. I wanna try. Thank you so much for the kind gesture." "Are you sure, baby? I can cancel. It's no big deal," he answers. "I'm sure," you answer. You spend the rest of the ride listening to the first mixtape you made him for your 2-month anniversary, and then the mixtape he made for you before you even got together. The mixtape you made was mostly filled with songs from the Rolling Stones, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and Bon Jovi, while the one he made was mostly Dio, Black Sabbath, and Metallica. After 2 more hours of driving, you finally arrive at Shipshewana. Eddie parks the van at the edge of a forest. You head out of the van and go for a little hike in the forest. At some point, you start feeling dizzy and being pale. Eddie can see it. "You want me to piggyback you?" he asks. You smile at the gesture. "Are you sure you can? Am I not too heavy?" "You're far from heavy, and I can, I promise." Eddie piggybacks you and head back to the van. You put the blanket in the back of the van and you lay in the back, cuddling together. "At what time is the reservation?" you ask. 9 p.m. in 3 hours, Eddie answers. "Oh my God!" you say. "What? Do you have second thoughts?" Eddie asks, concerned. "No, not at all. I just didn't bring an outfit to go to the restaurant or even to go out at all," you answer. "That's fine, Angel. Don't worry about it. You can just wear your jean and that black Metallica crop top I made for you," he answers. "But it's not fancy enough to go to a restaurant," you say. "It is for me," Eddie says, grinning. You go through your stuff in your bag and pull out the Metallica crop top. You take off your shirt and put the Metallica t-shirt on. You then look down at yourself, self-conscious of your curves, and start being anxious. Eddie can tell you are anxious and looks at you concerned before saying, "What's wrong, baby? Don't I look fat in this? I mean, we can see my tummy and..." You're cut off by Eddie. "You look beautiful. Life is ours. We live it our way. Nothing else matters. Please, never care for what they do or think. You are beautiful to me. Besides, I really love your tummy," Eddie says while kissing it. You jiggle at his touch. "Stop it," you say in between laugh. Eddie stops after 5 good minutes and says, "Do you want to do your makeup?" "Yes, please," you answer out of breath from all the laughing. "I'll be right outside if you need me." You do a nude makeup before heading out of the van. Eddie stares at you in awe before kissing you on the lips. "I love you," he says. "I love you too," you answer. Eddie goes to the passenger side and opens your door for you before heading in the driver's seat. Then he drives to the restaurant and it lasts 10 minutes. Eddie parks and you get out of the car. Eddie insists on putting a bandana as a blindfold on your eyes so you don't see the restaurant before arriving inside. After complaining for 5 good minutes, you finally give up. Eddie leads you to the restaurant. The walk lasts about 5 minutes. He then sits you down on a chair before removing the blindfold. You look at your surroundings and see that it's a fancy restaurant. "Eddie, you shouldn't have," you say. "I wanted to surprise you, and looking at your facial expression, it worked," he answers playfully. A waiter hands you the menu before heading back to the kitchen. "You can eat anything you want, sweetheart," Eddie says. "Eddie, this is too much. You can't afford this," you say. "I've been saving money for it. Don't worry, sweetheart. Take whatever you want." You go for the Caesar salad while Eddie orders a beef bourguignon. While waiting for the dishes to arrive, you can't help but bounce your leg, stressed about the idea of eating a whole plate, and Eddie can tell what's bothering you because he says, "You don't have to finish your plate, sweetheart. Besides, you got this. I believe in you." "What if I disappoint you?" you ask, self-conscious. "It doesn't matter if you eat 1 fork or the entire plate. Either ways, I'll be proud of you," he answers honestly. The waiter brings you the plates, and since your plate has been in front of you, you've been looking at it with a frown. "Would it help if we share your plate?" Eddie asks. You nod before saying, "Yes, please. I think it would help me." Eddie grabs a fork and starts eating in your plate. You imitate him, but once the fork is in front of your mouth, you stop with teary eyes. "I'm sorry, Eddie. I can't do it." "Of course you can, sweetheart. This is delicious. Please give it a taste. Let's do it together," Eddie offers. Eddie takes a fork of your salad before saying, 1, 2, 3. He then puts the fork in his mouth and you imitate him. You take your sweet time chewing before swallowing. You are on the verge of crying, but you hold it back. Eddie put his hand on yours before saying, "I'm so proud of you. You did amazing, baby." He finishes his dishes and offers you a dessert, even though he already knows the answer is no. Instead, He then asks if you want a coffee, to which you say yes. Eddie orders your coffee and some chocolate cake for himself. When the dessert arrives, you ask, "Can I taste it?" Eddie looks at you proudly before feeding you a bit of his dessert. "I'm so proud of you," he says once you swallow. Then Eddie goes to the counter to pay, and you both head back to the van. "My tummy aches," you say. "It's gonna be fine, Angel. I promise," Eddie said reassuringly. He knows how hard it is for you and is as supportive as he can, without pressuring you too much, and he is so proud of you for tonight. Eddie parks back to your spot before getting out of the van and opening the passenger door for you. You both head to the back of the van and cuddle. Eddie whispers sweet nothings as well and expresses how proud of you he is for tonight in your ear, and you fall asleep in the arms of your beloved. The next morning, you wake up. Eddie isn't next to you. You start worrying until you hear him cursing. You get out of the van to see what's happening, and you see Eddie struggling to make some fire. "I'm sorry I woke you up," he says, mad at himself. "You didn't wake me up," you answer while stirring. You sit next to Eddie before asking, "What are you up to?" "I was trying to start a fire because I don't want you to freeze. It's a little bit cold this morning." You smile at the gesture. "You don't have to, baby." "Of course I do," he answers. "Okay, so let me help." You help him starting the fire, and after 20 minutes of struggling, it's finally done. Eddie clears his throat before saying, "I know it's a sensitive topic and you don't have to accept, but do you want to go grab some breakfast at a diner?" You know that if you answer no, Eddie won't eat this morning, and you don't want him to starve, so you nod before saying, "Sure, I'll just grab a coffee though." "As you wish," Eddie says before climbing on the driver's seat. You climb on the passenger seat and head to a diner. You go sit on a booth while Eddie orders 2 coffee and a French toast. When the order is ready, Eddie comes back with it. You look at Eddie's French toast, debating in your head if you should taste it or not. You know it would make Eddie proud, and he didn't even force you to eat this morning. He is so understanding about this whole situation. After several minutes of huge thinking, Eddie cuts your train of thoughts. "I saw you looking at my French toast. If you want, we can share it," he offers. You look at it hesitantly before answering, "I would love that." Eddie looks at you proudly and put his plate in the middle of the table so both of you can reach it. You start eating a little piece of the toast. It tastes good, but as soon as you swallow it, you imagine how much calories there is in there and start panicking. As if Eddie understood, he grabs your hand for emotional support before saying, "I'm so proud of you, baby. You don't have to care about the number of calories. I know how hard it must be, but your body actually needs food in order to function correctly." You smile at his words before sipping some of your coffee. After breakfast, you start visiting the city of Shipshewana before stopping in a small restaurant. You order a salad, while Eddie orders a hamburger with fries. You manage to eat half of your salad. When you head out of the restaurant, Eddie kisses the back of your hand before saying, "I'm so beyond proud of you for this lunch, baby. You did amazing." You then visit the city hand in hand. At some point of the walk, your tummy starts aching. You try to hide it from Eddie, not wanting to ruin the walk, but Eddie knows you all too well and knows that something's up. "Are you okay, baby?" he asks, concerned. You force a smile before answering, "Yes, sure." "I can tell something's up, baby," Eddie says, even more concerned. "My tummy aches from all the eating earlier. I'm sorry for ruining our vacation week," you say, feeling really self-conscious and sorry. "You're not ruining anything. Besides, your health is the most important thing, so please don't feel sorry," Eddie says while putting his hand around your shoulders and holding you close to him. You smile at him. "Do you want to sit down somewhere so you can rest?" Eddie asks. "Only if it doesn't bother you. I want you to have a great time, not to have to deal with my crap, you answer. "First of all, it doesn't bother me at all. As long as I'm with you, nothing else matters. Second of all, your crap is my crap too now. I won't let you struggle alone. We're in this together. I'm here for you, and I'll always be." You smile at him with teary eyes while going towards a bench in a beautiful small park. You sit down next to one another, and Eddie takes your hand in his after having kissed your forehead. You put your head on Eddie's shoulder and both look at the kids playing in the park, an old couple holding hands. Seeing this couple, both you and Eddie are convinced that you want to grow old together, you want to experience life together, and nothing else matters.